alamala nemo nala kiso jidila akan anala saybolu anala bundin kewlu ande mirbe do silo nowa fajan nembe nyoraji do jolo yomal kiyama alamawji do yolo sonandul mobe obe kola be nalal be tentula be jeyla be salo kono jam be dano kala be banta yedun nan sinan wado teje and mo ni potan balal be jam be dano ko nenta jam kende balal be jam askelo be kende na balti dunya ja yomal kiyama bar janni mbo kala be dano kala jama mo bela Pika membota diamola jang menketa farmata sandante letolo sanden alama ale nemo jidi Dakar ani melbe tata stroglogon ko men da daga nyame nsi duwake mom moy la yo kono pour nayin kekende balu ibe lakira fasi jidi yendol tujang mfanansina nimbitalan si nyima taraje nkane tala malo kono inshallah momo ngaden ngadwa ngal damen na wala taslatu nabita momo yano nyame ngadwa ke na taraje falasi kayo ke fo fe na ya tara sigar den ke wala mat abelari asi beso jannatul firdaus bismillah mbed hakko dan na alfa balibul mbira yam fo dan na mbeden salatu nabila bismillah bismillahirrahmanirrahim sayyidina wa sayyidina Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala sayyidina Muhammad Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina wa nabiyina Muhammad wa sallim tasliman kaseeran alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin arrahmanir rahim maliki yawmiddin iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin amin alama alayhi bisu jannatul firdaus baade wonde bise kinde so ngali woni la wol ngalina mo lay tande ko mol de de don ka tenku wala UDP kankili UDP kankili UDP nyaadon ka kili UDP one destination on the salbe fotala je UDP media lo ye fajanne man digriti je kon I wulta meye wulindi wolen ka bankoje kelo be kering dikriti jumala fa say payroll sekat state house fa kelo be keka wato menna al sala ko tunye tonya ngalon barin kanajina medical saw boti fana wodo kamala UDP no patriotic structures and constitution will defend. We are not here to defend one person. We are defending the UDP and the constitution of UDP. Kama wale mbenye salo kono jang ndola na jang mo mamburu di mola mo mam pass jo moye ngake mena kama na banko adi na patio ndol man dara mo ko kirin no ma de ndol UDP la no ma UDP ne nan ko mo wala mena ngam ko wala mo ngam ko nimen bodi man ke nyata kadi UDP imam ke nyata kadi sistamar ko dol dafa nay chance te nyanta karan gine atin na nyanta karan jawra man sakunda nyanta karan na pere ndjay man sakunda nyanta karan ya jo sakunda nan na diam la fa jalla lo jeyte ako history nyanta karan ye mistake ko yede tifay ko kamara nyim be mo karamal medical patio law medical fight ila jokke mu nek sira is ready ñanda pare la pour que consider self interest nga bondi kuol kono nga bankola interest jibe and unity of the party and patriotic interest o kambala nga ñing karafal altun be salo ko altun ñim mo kendo UDP kankeling UDP ko wala fasa UDP constitution you are ready for it we UDP we are here for UDP assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh
nadiamula kotomo mummu jaray sanati Jarai Sane bota fo United Kingdom. Anatama be nyimbe moto. Jarai musu sairing balem jarai ti. Ni UDP la ko bota dawo da jarai bije. Jarai lebe TV and UDP TV and media to. Ninga jarai la bunda kon nyawo dawo da. Ntoma le fundraising ol kenu jele jarai ba nyaato. Jarai ya kamo dinala ko aliyan konkon wato watila mbe wullale ngal accommodate na programme to. Jarai mudo kula balti jarai mba folale ko alinga jarai welcome enough floor.
Toma jërëjëf si li nga wax loolu mooy dëgg kii mooy Jaara Sane UDP TV and media Jaara ñun waa gaas ñu la wax gàcce ngaalama Jaara jërëjëf parce que lii buñ ko commencé man as chairlady fundraising team biñ waxee ak yéen ne leen ne buñ buggee ñëw pour fo ut xaalis seen kàddu bu njëkka loolu ngeen jàppa bañ accepté da ngeen ñu ne boo leen ñu soxlee rek jarut ngeen def appointment ubbi leen suñ buntay ngeen dugga si te Jaara yaa sa team bi nga xam ne maa Fodé Jaw la moo nekk seen kilifa nga xam ne moom it bokk na gaas fii saa yi buggee dugga rek fundraising bi ëppadole bi yëpp ñu def pete yi saa yi mun na rafet nii yow Jaara yi desuloo si gannaaw maa ngi gis bés boo xam ne sax dimanche la woon danga dem liggéey wàcca ñu gis ne danga sonna nga ne déedéet am yi ñëw leen ñu liggéey bi ku nekk xamoon ne danga sonna waaye nga continuer xam naa ne toogoon nga ñaar fukki minute ñaar fukki hours ak ñeneen te nelawuloo nga jàppale ñu waxtu bi jot pour ñu fàtte ñu joxe seen xaalis nga dal di góorgóorluwaat kon Jaara ñu laa wax jërëjëf li nga jàppee UDP réeréwu mbir kenn jël nga sa time bàyyi sa jobooti di liggéey kon ñu laa wax gàcce ngalaama di la wax ne fi nga jàpp foofu la bul bàyyi ci kaw ci kanam UDP forever jërëjëf.
Assalamualaikum, Bimubi Konton Nambal Tindula Baljaila. Ntelem Jaara Sane. I know a lot of people didn't know me, know who I am, but I am Jaara Sane from Bansang, originally Siara. I got two girls, beautiful girls, and then I come from Gambia to England in 2007, and since then I've been here, and then I've been in England. I come in UDP. I am born in UDP, I would say, and then I am part and parcel of UDP since I was born day one. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman of the gas team, I am saying good afternoon to you and all your hard work, and for the audience of German people, I am saying guten Tag. So I joined UDP as a baby, since I was a baby, and my parents, I grew up in a big family. Everyone knows how Sanikunda in Bansang is. We're like hundreds of us, and then my father was a government worker, and he works in government for a few years. He's a certified accountant officer, and he was a victim too, and this is why all of family are victims. He's a very, very quiet politician. I'm not like quiet and shy. I'm not like him. I'm very vocal, and if everyone knows me, you know that I'm not quite as them. He suffered a lot in Yahya Jammeh's regime. For a good 5 years, he was in prison. And for our family, we went through hell. And all the Gambians, unfortunately or fortunately, he was a darling to everyone, as everyone knows who Amadou Sane is. We went through a lot, especially my grandmom, who just passed away not long ago. She always encouraged me, she always asked us to believe in God. She always say, Jarai, I know you can do it because he knows that I love my mom and my dad so much. And my auntie also is like, do what you believe in and do what you think will make you proud, not people to ask you to do what you don't want to do. And since then, I wasn't a politician, but since 2014, my dad was incarcerated, along with the whole executive of UDP, including Hussein Dabo, and all of them were in jail. And this was the turning point of my being 1000% in UDP. And then I was like, I born in UDP, I grew in UDP, and I will die in UDP. And for that reason, Hussein and the whole executive went in the jail, and meet my dad there. We've been going in and out. We know how bad that prison was. It wasn't a good experience. And however, I engaged myself in politics. I've been doing it, but a lot of people know me up in UDP TV and media. And for 30 good years, President Sadao Jawara's government in 1994, people were across various fields joined together as to form a united democratic party. My father was among it, which I just said not long ago. However, I was engaged. My turning point was a climax in 2016, where I increased more and more and more. I've been motivated more and more and more to join in the party and to be full member of the UDP party. But it was very, very tough for me, especially women's role in politics is really, really difficult sometimes. But nowadays, a lot of women are in politics. In 2016, we gave for a surprise of a few youths under the Democratic Party, which ladies came together to form a Kalama Revolution. They formed a Kalama Revolution, which was initiated by Ajiam Seka. And everyone knows this Ajiam Seka. Everyone knows Ajiam Seka. Ajiam Seka was one strong woman who is stronger than a lot of men in UDP. I'm sorry about that, but he is equivalent to 100 men. Which even motivates me more because she keep on telling me, Jara, if we can do it, you young girls, women can do it. And Baisene said he wants a lot of young women, boys and girls, to come forward because they are very old. I can always remember that he always said that. He is very old. He wants us to come and stand for our right. And our rightful right is UDP. And they need to retire at some point, and they want us to make sure we take over. And if we take over, he wants to see a dynamic UDP to go forward, and which we are trying to do that, especially in diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, I always say this all the time, and I will keep on saying it. UDP is a party that no one can come and against it, because we can make you today, UDP can make you very, very, what would I say the word, can make you very, very popular today, and make sure you have everything if you stood by UDP. But again, UDP also, if you betray UDP, UDP can put you in a level even better than a ground level, which is, we all need to be careful, and we all need to be very, very loyal to UDP, because UDP is loyal to all of us, and we need to be loyal to UDP. And in that case, if women can stand and be in a forefront, I think if men can stand and do more, I think women can do better than men in politics. So I'm trying to make sure all the young women, young boys, to try and join hands and make sure we fight for our right and make sure we do our parents good. Women we were like a housewife, and now women are coming out in a forefront to make sure that they were vice presidents. We got 2 vice presidents in Gambia. They were women. And then we having more and more ministers coming, women ministers coming as female ministers. And then I think if we do better, if we do more and we are in politics in forefront, we can have more and more and more women. We can even have a female president if we stick by together and improve better for ourselves. So in fundraising, which Aminata is talking about, we always make sure UDP party always do not rely on anybody, we rely on ourselves. We put our hands in our pocket and raise funds for the party in the Gambia and raise funds for ourselves to keep UDP going in diaspora. And for that case, people think that we have the business people give us money, they give money to UDP. No, UDP people deep in their pocket and they do everything for themselves. If you see this gathering here, UDP, we sponsor it for ourselves. We did fundraising in UDP TV and media, but I'm thanking each and everyone who did donate to make sure this event to be successful, and all the media outlets in the diaspora, which we're doing very well to make sure to promote UDP's agenda, to make sure to promote women forefront in the media, to make sure that we do a lot of things for UDP to be something tomorrow, especially in 2021. We want to make sure to install UDP government in Gambia, inshallah. So I am thanking the chairman and the entire GAS team. Job well done. It's not easy, but at least you guys have done it. And then I'm so proud of you people, and I'm thanking everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Jarai, one of our very famous online media representative. Jarai supported us very, very well in this Congress, financially organizing a lot of fundraising, Facebook Live fundraising program. I remembered one of our fundraising program with Jarai that night was a good night for the whole Oga team, because we definitely got a lot of money through Jarai. So Jarai, thank you very much. In UDP, United Democratic Party, we have leaders, we have historians, but we definitely have legal-minded people. And here today, I am coming to introduce UDP, United Democratic Party, lawyer. I call him our lawyer. This man attended primary, junior, and senior school in the Gambia. Thereafter, he came to the United Kingdom where he attended City College, Birmingham from year 2000 to 2003. He then proceeded to university where he studied bachelor degree, LLB, honors at law. He proceeded to the London Metropolitan University from 2006 to 2008 where he did a postgraduate diploma at a legal practice. He started training as a trainee lawyer at Duncan Lewis from 2010 to 2013 and qualified as a fully fledged lawyer in March 2013 in United Kingdom. He has since been practicing as a human rights lawyer in the United Kingdom. He has also been a political activist against the previous regime of Yahya Jammeh, the tyranny, and strong supporter of the United Democratic Party. He is one of those legal-minded people who will always point their finger at United Democratic Party, said the law of the Gambia, the constitution of the Gambia said this and this. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Honorable Yankuba Dabo on stage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fati, for that kind introduction. Good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon to Madam Chair, Congress, delegates, supporters of our great party, the United Democratic Party, representatives of the various chapters present here with us today, and those and everyone else who is here with us. I want to seize this opportunity to thank the organizers of this Congress, who are the UDP chapter for Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Holland, acronym as GAS. I think we are very, very much indebted in gratitude to all of you, the organizers, for organizing such a wonderful event today. It's the first event you've organized, and it makes me feel like you've been hosting this sort of program for a very long time. So that's something I think we should all give them a round of applause for that. And everyone in audience today, and many who are not here with us, those who are resident in Germany, in Austria, Switzerland, and Holland, we just want to encourage all of you to support GAS, to be part of GAS, to ensure that we are able to broaden this organization, to make it a lot more inclusive and get more people to be behind our great party, the United Democratic Party. I think my brother Lalo has given us an eloquent narration of our history, the trials and tribulations of the United Democratic Party, what we went through, the sacrifices we have done for the Gambia, for the progress of the Gambia. We've heard from the daughter of Solo, She narrated their ordeal, what they had to go through, and what's the sacrifice Solo had made for our great party, the United Democratic Party. And I must tell you this, what we are doing today, the Congress we're having, the gathering we're having today, we are still on that path, the struggle that Solo and many other people, the path they've paved for us to follow, that's the path we are on. And we should never relent on it until we are able to succeed, to get to where they wanted us to get to, the destination or the destiny that they want to see Gambia. One time, Jawara used to say that he wants Gambia to become Singapore. I believe Solo and others have a bigger dream than that. We all have a dream. It's UDP can be that vehicle that can get us to that dream or that destiny. If we are united and are determined to ensure that we get to that destiny, not just for us, because Solo sacrificed not just for himself, but for many of us today. The freedom, the liberty that we enjoy today, he sacrificed for that. If Solo hadn't gone out on that day, Dabo wouldn't have gone out 2 days after that. If Dabo hadn't gone 2 days after that, the UDP, the Gambian masses wouldn't have been galvanized as they did. And the people wouldn't have been more motivated as they did in getting rid of what people used to think is impossible. In fact, globally, everybody thought it is impossible to remove a dictator peacefully as we did in the Gambia. But we did it. And we did it because of the sacrifice, the blood of our heroes and martyrs who bled for us to get to where we are today. And we should never forget them. We should always remember. So, I have been given the task of deliberating on a topic which is youth migration, Europe's legal approach, and its impact for Gambia. But before I start on that, I will digress a little bit and then talk a little bit about the President's youth movement, which is a big issue, and it's been a bit of a controversy in the Gambia for the last 12 months, and it's still a controversy, and it will continue to be that. Because if we see one thing Lalo told us today, and that is about history. He gave us some historical accounts of what we went through, as I said, the trials and tribulations. But one of the other things we need to remember, they said, he who doesn't learn from history ends up repeating it. So if we don't learn from it, we will end up repeating what happened in the past. And youth movements happened in the Gambia before. We know the party that suffered most from them was the United Democratic Party. We remember the July 22nd movement. They came about when the military were supposed to hand over power to the civilian rule. It was that movement that the military used as a platform to set up their own political party. We have seen movement today. This new movement is now posing as an existential threat to the United Democratic Party, because it's not what the opposition we were used to, which is an opposition from outside. This is now an opposition from within that wants to destroy us, confuse us. And they're doing everything because they're hell-bent on destroying everything that our heroes had sacrificed for. It would be a betrayal of their martyrdom from Sadio Kunjang, Solo Sane, and many other people if the UDP should die tomorrow. We cannot afford that, and we cannot let that happen. So the current youth movement followed the same pattern. They told us it is here to promote the interests of the president. The question that I want us all to ponder on is, if a youth movement is created for youths why shouldn't it be for the promotion of the interests of the youth rather than a president? So that from the outset tells us that this is a political movement. It is not for the interests of the youth. And that is history we must learn from. If we pay ignorance to it, we will only end up repeating what happened in the past. So I digress a little bit, but now I will go back to the topic, which is youth migration, Europe's legal approach, and its impact for the Gambia. So immigration or migration, from the perspective of many migrants, represent hope. Immigration represents hope for many migrants. A hope for a better future, a hope for a better life, a hope for greater opportunities. That is what the migrants think of when they set on their journey from wherever their origin is. They want to go that place. We want to go to Germany because we hope we could get opportunities that which we do not have where we are. That is the whole intention of a migrant. But to the host country where the migrant is going, they have a different perception to that of the migrant. They saw the coming of the migrant who had this great hope. They saw it as a threat. They saw it as a fear. They saw it as hate. And some hate migrants so much that they would prefer to see them die in the unforgivable waters of the Mediterranean Sea than welcoming them on their souls. So that makes immigration a very difficult topic to talk about, a contentious topic in the West today. Because as people will say, the political climate, it created a political climate where politicians are losing their jobs because of immigration. In Europe, you don't get tough on migration, you lose your job. In Africa, you talk about immigration, you lose your job. Because in Africa, we don't want you to talk about immigration. If we want you to talk about immigration, we want you to say that everybody can go. Because if you look at the benefit of migration, what migration brings to us in Africa is a lot. Those that are in Germany doing menial work, in Germany they can be contented, but in ours, they're breadwinners, they're heroes, they help a lot of people. So, but when you talk of immigration, and why is immigration a hot topic in the world today? The simple answer is in the numbers. A lot of people are moving from one place to another. According to the UN, about 175 million people worldwide lived outside of the countries they were born in 2003. That number increased to 232 million in 2013 in 10 years. By 2023, that number could double again to almost 400 or 500 million. So that tells you how many people are moving from the country of birth to country where that number they find opportunities, or they then call home, or their new homes. But there are many factors contributing to this migration, or the exponential numbers of people moving from one place to another. And this is something that much consideration is not given to. And that is about modern transportation, modern means of transportation. Today you can jump on a plane and then you are in Gambia in 6 hours or 7 hours. In the olden days, that used to take them almost 6 years to get from Gambia to, say, Germany. Today, you can be in Gambia and you're watching what is happening in Germany. You know that there are Gambians. You know that when I go there, there are people that I can knock on their doors and they might be able to offer me accommodation. They might be able to provide me food if I need such help. Yesterday, those opportunities were in there. When you talk of Germany, they don't even know where it is, unless and until they enter into the source of Germany or the boundaries of Germany, and then they are being told that you are now in Germany. And they don't know who is going to help them, who is going to support them. But that is not the case today. So all of these are issues that contribute to migration today. Politics, in our case in Gambia, for the last 22 years, contributed a lot. We had many Gambians who were forced to exile. And they didn't go voluntarily, but they were forced against their will. And that is something which is not considered much by a lot of countries in the West. So, Europe's approach, a legal approach to migration, Europe doesn't have a specific, especially for youth. So when we talk of youth, we're talking about the age range of 16 or 18 towards the age of 36. So Europe doesn't have a common or specific common legal or immigration law that applies to that specific group alone. Instead, they have laws that apply to, one could say, would also apply to it, but they are general laws, they apply to everyone. And one of those is the European free movement of European citizens. So EU citizens have a right to move to anywhere. It's one of the fundamental pillars of EU law, that if you're a citizen, you can move anywhere and you can stay and you can work in that place. Now, historically, that has always been a very important pillar in the European project. It started with the Treaty of Paris in 1951, which was the European Coal and Steel Community Industries. And then from there, you had the Rome Treaty, which brought in what we call the European Economic Community. And then to modern day, we have the European Directive on Citizens' Rights. So this liberal policy was also extended to legal migrants who come to Europe. So we have the Schengen visa in the Schengen region. Not everybody signed to it. The UK didn't, but many European countries did. So if you have a visa in one country, you are able to use that visa to travel to other nations in Europe. Unfortunately, this liberal approach to immigration wasn't extended to illegal migrants. So what you have, in fact, one of the unfortunate things is that when Europe tried to do something about migration, especially in terms of managing and controlling of illegal migrants, they end up with what we call the Dublin Convention. And that is the policy, it has always been very simple, and that is whenever a person comes into Europe, the first country that they landed will be the country that will be responsible for their asylum claims, which is very, very unfortunate, because it puts so much stress in countries like Italy, Spain, and then Greece. Whereas there are other countries inland who are not facing that, and then therefore the burden of migration is not being shared. And countries like Italy and the other ones were left to fend for themselves, and then those countries ended up hating migrants so much. The number of migrants that are coming into Europe, if anybody tells you Europe can't accommodate them and they can't contribute positively to European progress, is a lie. Migrants anywhere, as I said, they're following that hope, that dream, not just for themselves, but when migrants come in any community, we change the diversity of that community. We contribute something, a new culture to it. We make it more to prosper. We don't just retrogress that community. So, since then, Europe had abandoned a European-wide sort of law to regulate illegal migration. Instead, individual countries are left to deal with it domestically in their domestic laws. Now that created a lot of problems. So we have it's like a dysfunctional system, Europe-wide. The systems are very different. You can claim asylum with someone, you can say, for example, flee Gambia with someone on the same day. You land in Germany, he lands in the UK, or he lands in Ireland or Sweden or other countries. They get their asylum application or their asylum claim processed much quicker and get refugee status and are able to bring their families over, able to travel and do a lot of things, while if you're in Italy or other places, you will languish there forever and your claim will never be processed. And you suffered the same ordeal as the other person. This is happening right across Europe today, and it's very unfortunate because that is not how it's supposed to be. But because of the lack of a Europe-wide policy to deal with all of this. So, as a result of this, the individual nations at the moment, because every nation has to deal on its own, individual nations have to make their own bilateral relationship with countries like, for example, Gambia. This is where we get impacted. Because the problem we have is we don't have a migration policy with any country. So, for example, in Germany, despite the fact that we have a lot of Gambians in Germany, undocumented Gambians, people whose status are not regularized, we don't have a migration policy with them. So at the moment what happens is, any day Germany wants, they can grab anybody who doesn't have paper and they remove them to Gambia, and we let them in. We had a migration policy with Spain before. In 2000, I believe it was 2006, in 2006, it was 2008, Spain brought a plane full of about 100 Gambians that they wanted to remove. And the Gambia government said, no, we wouldn't let them in. You have to take them back to Spain. Italy entered into similar sort of pact with the Gambian authorities. The aim was to train the Gambian immigration officers. So the immigration officers would go to Italy, and then they identify Gambians who are in detention there, who do not have papers, and the Italians are struggling to identify them. They're able to help them and identify those people, and then Italy can deport them. It didn't work. The reason why it didn't work is that the immigration officers found themselves at the receiving end of a barrage of criticism from a lot of people or families who depend on these people abroad to help them. That didn't work. So since then, Italy's one didn't work, Spain's one didn't work, nothing ever worked. And now our citizens in many of these countries are at the mercy of those countries. But it shouldn't be like that. There's a better way. Migration policies can always be agreed, negotiated. There's something that Germany wants, and there is something that Gambia wants. We can sit down and negotiate. They can say we have 20,000 Gambians here. We cannot cope with all of them. We can say, well, if you send them all back, we don't have a job for all of them. How do we negotiate? You have opportunities in Germany. You have vacancies, job vacancies that which you currently need prospective or potential employees for. We don't have those kind of jobs in here. So how do we sit down and then come up to an agreement? Because your fear is you have 20 and there are more coming. Why don't we say, okay, you provide something for those people and we make sure we don't allow anyone else to come. It's all part of negotiation. If we are determined to do it, and this is one thing that I believe the UDP as a party aspiring to govern should be contemplating on. That we can negotiate with everyone, wherever our citizens are. It's our interest and we should pay attention to it. We should come to many of these countries and say, look, our citizens are here. They came here for an opportunity. This is what they're doing for us. More are hoping to come. We can curb that. We can hold that. Provided those that are there, you also do A, Y, and Z. Why don't we have a deal? Otherwise, you bring them back, they go back tomorrow. Because if you bring them back, they will go back tomorrow. And how do you stop the stem? It was done before, it's not the first time. America did it with Cuba. Cubans were just flowed into America every now and then. America and Cuba were in good terms. But they said, look, hold on here. We will take in 20,000 each year, provided you also stop boats coming in onto our shores every day or every week or every month. And the Cubans said, okay, we can hold on to that bargain. And that was something that worked, because you know why? People decided instead of risking it in the boats, they could actually wait and apply to be part of that 20,000 each year. So that opportunity is there. We can create what we call part-time work schemes with many of these countries, even if it's going to be seasonal work. But you give that opportunity to people. So if it's going to be farming, you can say every year we will allow maybe 5,000 Gambians to come to Germany, work in the farms for a season, and after the season, they go back to Gambia. And then the following year, they do the same thing. You know what? You're going to stop maybe 100,000 from taking the risk to come to Germany. Because they're going to believe that next year, I can be part of the 5,000 to go to Germany for 3 months, 4 months. By coming to Germany for 3-4 months, they will experience something. That not all that glitters is gold. Germany is cold. Germany is not as warm as Gambia is. And that if I can go back, if I can go there for 2, 3, 4 months and come back and get enough money to build something, that is better for me than living in Germany, have no job, no education, no anything. Just struggling every day, but just hanging on to hope that tomorrow, somehow, magically, Germany will recognize my plight and give me something. But what we need to do, how we can help everybody, is that our governments need to start talking. If America and Cuba can talk when they are not in good terms, certainly we can. And we can talk to everyone in this country. On a final note, that's what I want to say, and then I want to thank Gus. It's a bit of a deviation from what we are here, but that's what Congresses are. We learn, we brainstorm, we come up with new ideas that which we hope will make it to our political manifestos and help our party in government to progress on those ideas. I want to thank you all, and thanks to Gus once more, and thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Abaraka bake lawyer Dabo. Na diamula do minyantanala atelem Kemo Kinte from Switzerland. Kemo is atemo executive member leti andu nga timo dole dada mi yalo ko to lebe marala victimo la kola Kemo be odulalto. Kemo Kante, you are welcome. Jërëjëf mbokk yi kii mooy Kemo Kinte jóge Switzerland moom tamit suñu executive member yi la bokka ba pare dañ fi taxawal mbootaay boo xam ne nii ñoom ñoo war a amee ñi nga xam ne nii mbiri victime yi la moom ci section boobu la bokka.
Mbalbe kontonal to dimanal kontonla ndebe Switzerland delegation of me along ko panambe gas and first of all be thank you Samalan chairman kam Mafole Cham for the well organized meeting congress and Mbalbe fanam kontonal mo me la time mo nata kama be fana. Thank you very much. Ndeb mantar dama plan no pour que diamo so be karamba durana la speak in read out because unfortunately mala video ni upload no so but my level best pour kala ko ni randa Mr. Chairman, members of the organizing committee, UDP comrades and invited guests, I am profoundly grateful for the honor of being asked to address you in this historic gathering. To see all of you, beautiful and committed supporters of UDP, travel far and wide, and in the case of the event organizers, exerting tremendous effort to host this important Congress makes me proud of our great party and very hopeful for its future. The lifeblood of political parties is the dynamism, hard work, and consistent commitment of the members constituted. Every member of our party, from Koina to Katong, in our beloved Gambia, and those spread and all over the world are proud of you and girls 2018. I have been assigned to share my observations on our party's social media presence with a view towards suggesting ways that can better help us engage the public as a major political party. UDP, as you all know, is a big tent diverse party reflecting the entire spectrum of Gambian society. And the history and tradition of the party is open and robust engagement both within the party and with the larger public whose support we seek and to whom all our elected members are accountable. The challenge, however, is how do you effectively manage the messaging and public relations of party with a diverse support base full of people with lots of opinions, easy access to The challenge, however, is how do you effectively manage the messaging and public relations of party with a diverse support base full of people with lots of opinions, easy access to instant mass communication in the age of social media. Short answer, it is not easy. And there are adverse consequences when individuals among our membership say or otherwise conduct themselves in ways stray away from polite public discourse, degenerate into insults and bitter rancor. Whether such actions are provoked by our adversaries or not, the net result of an ugly public discourse reflects poorly on all parties that engage in it. As one American politician put it, if you wrestle with a pig, you both get itchy and mood all over. But the pig actually likes getting moody because that is a natural habitat for it. Therefore, the best and most effective method of public engagement by any member and supporter of the UDP is to categorically avoid insults at all times, including making the difficult but honorable decision to ignore even the person that insults them unprovoked in an attempt to draw them in. This is consistent advice of the party leadership, and it also is what aims the trust, respect, and support of the vast majority of our citizens who are decent and value decorum even in heated disagreements. The second issue I want to address quickly is the importance of using the tremendous power of social media. Strengthen inter-party networking among members and supporters, enhance and amplify party messaging, as well as cultivate new prospective members. It is very important party members and supporters help explain aspects of party policies that they understand or has been already done to effectively highlight what specific elected and appointed party officials are doing as part of their official functions. Highlighting what our MPs, local government leaders are doing in accurate and timely ways help the public they serve understand and appreciate their efforts. That is good for the practice of democracy itself, as well as the UDP brand. I want to encourage more of that. I will conclude by reminding all of us that this party we share has a great history and an even greater future because of good and committed patriots like yourselves. UDP has never been about an individual or a group of people. UDP has always been about the aggregate of all the diverse people that constituted and their enduring commitment to the ideals of democracy, freedom, and rule of law. It is a party built and sustained by honor, commitment, selfless sacrifice of ordinary Gambians like you gathered there in the heart of a European city, Tübingen. A market woman in Busumbala, a farmer in Nyomi, a medical doctor in the US, and every other category of Gambian in between. What binds us all together is the values the party represents, that we identify with and believe to be worthy of our time. Efforts, and as the record of our heroes and martyrs have shown, our blood and precious lives, let us all remain cognizant of those values and remain strong and united at all times. Gambian voters have demonstrated trust and confidence in our party. It is our collective duty to remain true to our founding ideals and validate the trust the Gambian repose in our party. And with good and committed people like you, inshallah, we will continue to grow on the right path. Thank you very much. Karamba Pure, US.
Thank you very much for that wonderful speech. As a refugee activist in Germany, I learned that there are a lot of organizations or associations here in Germany, more especially in this region, Baden-Württemberg. Among the organizations here today, we have Petra Drame, a founder and a chairman of the German Yoruba Gambian Association. The association was founded 11 years ago. Yoruba is realizing agricultural, solar, and education projects in the rural Gambia. Petra Drame knows Gambia since 20 years ago. She is someone who definitely loves Gambians, care Gambians, and ever ready to share ideas, experience with Gambians. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Petra Drame on stage. Petra, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much for presenting me this very well done speech. I say hello to everybody in this hall. I greet you, ladies and gentlemen. I greet all of the organization team, and I thank very much the chairman, Mafude Jam, for initiating this Congress, which is very important, I think, for the position of the Gambian people here in Germany, and also for the movements that will come in the Gambia and what is necessary. So we are a little bit waiting for the presentation. Maybe I can say some words to myself. I know Gambia since 20 years. So 20 years ago, I moved with my husband, Wande Fadrame, to the Gambia to make a visit to his village. And this was a very initiative visit, because the visit showed me a lot of global problems which I never knew before. So before, I was traveling around the world very much in different kind of countries, but this visit enabled me to look a little bit closer on what our position in the global world is and what the position of African countries are in the global world. So this visit, it showed me one important thing, and this was about the food situation in the world. The very interesting moment was when we went to the market in the Gambia, and this market, I looked at it and I found all the European products. I found the European onion, I found the European eggs, I found the Chinese rice, I found a lot of things, but what I was missing was the products of the Gambia. So then I said, okay, we are in the region around the tourist areas, and maybe it will be different in the villages, because that is where my husband is from. He is from Chara. Sorry, we wait, maybe we can get the... It's not working. No problem, we will manage it without it. I had some pictures, but you all know what is Gambia like. Yes, and this visit to the village, it even made me more think about what has happened. Because in the village I expected farmers, I expected things growing, because it's what we know in our European areas. Once you move out of the city, you will see the farmers working, you will see the farmers growing on plantation. But also there, we moved around the village of Secunda, which is close to Soma, and I didn't see any large plantations, and I didn't see any large farming done there. And I was always asking, but what are you growing? And my husband always said, yeah, before we were growing maize, before we were growing rice, before we were growing kus. But none of this I saw there. So we saw some rice fields, and we saw some small villages, some small garden projects, but beside of this I couldn't find anything. So I was wondering how these people can survive. So they have, in the rural areas, there's low or no industrialization. They have high unemployment and very low wages. They also suffer from the climate change, because they take down a lot of trees because of the need of firewood. and they have just insufficient investment in economic development and education. And then also I saw all these people, they are farmers, they are small-scale farmers to try to grow something in order to feed their families. And so that was the point when we came back home, when I started to investigate on what we can do, because the situation of most of the families, when once there's somebody in the European country, they support their families back home, which is great, which is very important, but also that doesn't move the people in the country. The people in the country need to have some possibilities to work, they need to have possibilities to earn their own money, because that is what everybody makes proud. When you get your own employment, when you get your own initiative, and then you can earn your money and you can survive on that. So then the time we went back home, I started to look after all the global movements about the food system. So I saw it's not only the problem of Gambia or it's a problem of Africa or different other third world countries, it's also a problem of our countries in the Western, because what we are depending Africa on is also the problem caused by us. And the idea came up to help these villages with garden initiatives in order that they can have a supply with healthy food, and in order to be working in gardening and to be not dependent on anything from outside, but to eat what they grow. And the main important thing about it, in order that you can grow something, is the water. We have to supply we have to manage the water. And so we initiated in 4 villages that they have access to water through boreholes, and we are using the solar systems in order to use renewable energy, which is a lot in the Gambia. There's a long time period where there's a dry season, where there's the sun, and once it gets dry and the sun is shining, it is possible to use a solar system in order to take the water out of the wells and distribute it in the gardens. And this impact I saw is very fruitful to the villages, because the villages, they get involved. The villages can depend on themselves, and they can also have access to healthy food, because the food is one of the important needs of every human being on the world. Not only the Africans, it's about all of us. It's even an article in the UN Pact of the UN Constitution, Article 11, is saying the right for food is one main important point for our human beings. So from there on, we started to supply the villages with drinking waters, because as you all know, maybe in the rural areas, there are still some villages even without correct drinking water. So we are in the 21st century, and we are still having this problem on the world, that the people in small villages have not enough supply for waters. And from then on, We continued to open the gardens, and at the moment we have about 500 women working in these gardens, and they are organizing themselves in the projects. So sometimes they can have it for their families, and sometimes they are also able, what they don't use for themselves, they can even generate some small income in order to sell them on the local markets. So what we think for Europe to continue and to put more force into is to develop the sector of the agriculture. Because in agriculture for the very few moments you think maybe, okay, in agriculture there cannot be made a lot of money, but in agriculture, if you will develop the sector in a sustainable way, there are possibilities for a country to develop a very good economic sector. And this is what I have found in the last years that is still missing. There's a lot of initiatives like us who are supporting villages and who are trying to help the villages with agricultural projects. But from that move on, so in order that the country can develop agriculture sector is still very hard. And we think that it's important that this sector gets more attention, and also that all these organizations like us is not only Yeraba being active in Gambia. There are many more small organizations from Europe, or I bet also from the States, who are going, we get the presentation, who are doing a lot of work there. And if there would be a strong umbrella organization or a possibility for them to speak, it would be very important, and it could also improve the employment rate in the Gambia. So here you see some of the pictures. Our foundation was built in 2007. So we also started up an organization in the Gambia in 2008. So this is the area where we are mainly based at the moment, is around the Soma area with 4 villages. Is Gifin, is Sikunda, and is Kayaf, and is Saresamba. So this is what I found 20 years ago, how the situation is. And what is really very incredible is that it's still the same situation after 20 years. So these 20 years, we have to think about what has been happening in these 20 years. And this is the last trip we did to the Gambia 3 years ago. This is still the farming methods, what you find in the Gambia. So how can somebody develop an economic farming system with this kind of methods? It's not easy. So this is what we are trying to help, where we want to invest our funding money, that the farmers get more possibilities in order to do processing, in order to have tractors, in order to have some tools that they can make it more productive. Yeah, this is just to show the water systems, what we have found in the villages. This is a village close to the border to Senegal, where my husband has visited, and this village, just some months ago, just only had this one well. So this one well, in the dry season, it was without water. So what do the people do? You all know this. They will go to the next well. They have to walk a long way. The children have to do it, or it's a very, very hard life. And this is how our gardens get supplied. They get the solar systems for the pumps, and we use the tower tanks, and the villages are involved in all processes, and they put their impact in it in the way that how they can. They dig the grounds for the pipes, and they always have the task to do the fencing of the gardens. So we always involve them. We don't say what has to be done. They themselves, they organize what needs to be done. So what comes out is very good quality drinking water, because once you dig that far deep down, you will find the good quality of drinking water. So we all know how important it is to drink a good quality water in order to not be sick. So now there will be some of the pictures. Maybe we can go through a little bit faster, because I have already said the time where we have been not having the PowerPoint. These are all the gardens which we supplied. So here we can stop maybe. This is also something what is very important in our way of working. We always involve the women. And we don't involve them just by letting them have the land and then let them be by themselves. We do the trainings, we do talks with them. We try to have somebody who organizes their systems on how they can work together. And they also have to participate. They will be charged a small amount what they can afford for yearly usage of the gardens, and so they can also do their maintaining of the systems themselves, because we don't always want to be dependent on giving money for repairing their technical supplies. We want to help them in order that they can maintain it themselves, that they find a system whereby they can spare some money aside, and that they can also profit from that. So this is some outcome of the gardens. I believe a lot of you know how these gardens work and how important they are and what comes out of it. And this is very, very nice to know, because in Gambia, when you have the chance to have water and when you have a good soil fertility, it really grows plenty of different kind of fruits and vegetables. So this is what will come out. And this will help the villages to have different access to different kind of foods, to not only be dependent on rice and maybe small fish or oil source. It's very nutritious, and it is good for development, especially for the children. And this is what we are trying to move on, that we want to supply the areas with their local products and not with the imported products. I know it's not possible at the moment, but the way should be going in that, the aim should be going in that way. So this is an agricultural center which we have built also. We are not only supplying the gardens, we have opened an agricultural center with different kind of processing machines, like the oil mill, and then also there's a coos mill, a rice mill, and this also is helping the women to not spend too much time on processing. They can also spare their force on different things what they have to do. Yeah, this is the oil mill, for example. This is also possible to supply the area with their own oil production and not be dependent on the European oil. Also, a small idea was beginning of this year to send some of the women from the gardens to a training to another project, and there they learned how to make their own soap. And it was a 4 days training. It didn't cost us a lot of money. And the women came back and they teach their women in the villages. So this is how it continues. And it is a small, very small initiative, but it is a very high impact, because now there's a group selling this local soap and body cream in the area, and they can be proud of it. They can be very, they can do their own business, earn their own money. So we want to continue to train women in how to process and how to do food preservations. So this is the point about solar energy. I think we can go through a little bit faster. Yes. So we have one project also which is very nice, because it's working with schools in Germany. We go in schools, and school children at the age around 14 to 15, they will produce small solar lamps. They do it with their teachers, and these solar lamps are sent to the Gambia for children in school. Yes, and one last point: the education is maybe not the last. It's the last here in the PowerPoint, but it's not the last to mention, because it's very important to put energy on improving the education system. I see many schools, and sometimes it makes me very sad on how children have to be educated, because sometimes there's not even enough tables and chairs, and this should be something which should be improved. And so from our side, sometimes we help the schools to be equipped, or they get books or whatever. There are many needs, I think. So from this point where we are, we want to go one step further, and we want to develop a sustainable farming system, and this we can only do with, on our point of view, we can do it with biodynamic farming, and opening a branch whereby farm products can be also exported and also can be sold. Because this kind of branches, they will also have the possibilities for jobs, and it also have the abilities of income, and it will empower the women and the youth. So by improving this food supply system, we hope that all different branches can work better together. It has to be the economic on one part, it has to be the NGOs on the other part, but also the politics and also the science in order to put more impact into the business. Thank you very much.
Frau Petra Drabe, danke vielmals. Mrs. Drabe, thank you so much for this remarkable speech here. Mrs. Petra Drabe, I would like to assure you that when the Gambia joined the United Nations Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, all these projects will be accomplished.
Our United Nations representative already promised.